Hey y'all, it's Jordan Claude James here. Call me Claude, please. Today we're back at it in the gym, getting a back workout in. We started with some bent over rows, and we're just starting with the bar right now. We didn't use too much weight today. Started with the bar. Sometimes I'm able to get like 275 plus on the bar here, but today we just focused on contraction, we focused on stretch, and we just really tried to make sure that we were getting a decent range of motion, let's say. When I go through the full stretch and when I'm really trying to feel the contraction, full range of motion tends to take the tension off of the muscle that I'm really trying to activate. So sometimes I'm not getting the full range of motion because I no longer feel the muscle that I'm trying to work out stretching nor contracting. At the top of the rep or at the bottom of the rep, sometimes it can feel like I'm resting. So I'm trying to limit that as much as possible. Because we're not in the gym for way too long. We're not in the gym for long at all, at least with the weights. I mean, perspective is everything. When I'm in the gym, it could last from anywhere between an hour and a half and 2 hours. So while that might not be crazy long for me, it might be an extended period of time for others. But the way I break it down is I'm basically doing my lift for about 35, 45 minutes, and then I'm doing cardio for about 30 minutes, and then I'm stretching for about 15, 20 minutes. And of course, in the gym that I go to on a regular basis, there are bound to be people that I know there, and then sometimes I get wrapped into conversations that I'm too polite to tell people, hey, I'm going to finish this up, and I'm going to get to my next set, and then can only be in here for so long. So sometimes I cut my workouts a little shorter, probably to my benefit, if I'm being honest. But like having that community and talking to people that, share the same goals as me is refreshing. It's important to me anyway. So keeping up that dialogue and staying in tune with the community that's in there, that are part of the people that I like to communicate with, is important to me anyway. So I'm never going to shut that down. I'm never going to be in a rush to end that conversation. If anything, I like to just share the knowledge that me and my peers are going through or have accumulated, and just really feed off of each other, so to speak. So I think I put another plate on here at this point. I'm really feeling it, obviously. And we're trying to just really control the weight. That is the main point of pretty much everything that I do in the gym. Controlling the weight. I'm not ever trying to just throw weight around. At least these days. It used to be a lot different. I used to try to throw weight around, try to see how much I can get on the bars, trying to see how heavy of a dumbbell I could curl. Much more of a power lifter type of mindset where, let's use some momentum. Let's lift it fast. Let's see how explosive I could be. Like I've told you guys before, I used to be an explosive athlete where I was running 40-yard dashes. I was doing track. I was doing the high jump, long jump, shot put. All of that consisted of me being able to contract my muscles as fast as possible and then release that contraction so that I could get into the next movement. That's not what we're doing anymore. Everything is about control. Everything is about conditioning. Everything is about building the muscle. Quality muscle, that is. And it's not about, and it has nothing to do with strength. It has nothing to do with the number that's on the bar. So, keeping that in mind, we don't lift heavy. We don't try to lift heavy. We try to put a force, a resistance on the bar, on the body, that the body has to adapt to. And that's it. Put a resistance on the body that the body has to adapt to create more muscle. Not to make me more explosive, not to make me stronger, but to build more muscle. There's a difference. There's a difference in the training. And I didn't realize that when I was younger, because I was emphasizing a completely different type of training. I was emphasizing explosive training. And I just want to reiterate that is completely different than emphasizing the art of building muscle. So today we focused on, the joint that we chose to focus on was the rotator cuff. In the past, I've tried to get multiple joint workouts in the same workout, and all that did was make my weightlifting sessions about an hour. If I try to do ankle mobility by doing calves, if I try to do shoulder rotations, if I try to do hip work, and so from time to time I even get in some neck mobility as well. Well, all that I did was make my weightlifting sessions over an hour. And I don't have over an hour every day to be lifting weights, especially if I'm doing 30 plus minutes of cardio, especially if I actually plan to get in my stretch. One thing I notice about myself is that if I'm going to stretch, I need to have the mental capacity to just sit down and breathe for about 15 minutes. And you know what? After being in the gym for 2 hours, I want to go home. I want to go home. I want to eat. I want to shower. And I want to just unwind. Like, my brain only has but so much focus for doing things that are strenuous. Like, maybe I could come back to stretching later in the day, but that usually doesn't happen with the way my schedule is currently constructed. So we try to make sure that we leave time, that we leave some capacity for stretching at least 3 times a week. Otherwise, it just doesn't get done, which we don't like skipping the stretch. And we got into some shrugs today, which was nice. I really felt these after the workout. I don't feel like I've activated my traps as much as, I used to anyway, which is unfortunate because they help build the neck probably more than anything, and they're a really great exercise. They probably help build the neck almost as, if not more than, a deadlift does. And as you guys know, I don't deadlift. I just don't want to put that resistance on my back. I'm not, like I said, I'm not a power lifter. I'm not an explosive athlete. When I was an explosive athlete, I would deadlift all the time. But now it just seems like there's no point. There's no point to me deadlifting. There's a lot safer ways. There's a lot of other ways for me to get that same activation, for me to stimulate that muscle in a different way. in a safer way, in a way that I don't have to use so much weight. Because like anybody else, deadlift is probably my strongest lift, which means it requires the most resistance. And yeah, there are parts of my body that can manage the weight that I can deadlift quite easily. But as for my lower back, that's especially my upper back. Like, you can